Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen them down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no one take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like the 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like the 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told them we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my tax is thorough. Way I'm shooting like step, but my pass is bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in they fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like the 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like the 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told them I'ma get it and go. Nah, even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down, cause dog, I'm moving too fast. Might go and cop me a Tesla, cause dog, I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at, I guess, 1:33 p.m. I am going to be traveling later. I have to catch a flight, so I'm not going to be able to go live at 5:45. So here we are. Here we are in the Frankie Candles Christmas sweater, guys. Ugly Christmas sweater at that. Check this thing out. And guys, this fit is crazy. I got the ugly Frankie Candles Christmas sweater with just neon Frankie Candles blue. Actually, this matches. Hold up. I didn't even mean to do that. This kind of matches. They're like Frankie Candles blue shorts. But Mafia, what is coming next here on Bitcoin in this wonky price action? We do have some. Why am I so high up right now? I got to duck down a bit. But yeah, what is coming next here, guys? We got some wonky signs on Market Cypher B as the holidays approach. Are we going to get a relief rally? Is Santa going to come and bring us up to at least $91,500? Or are we just going to dump down to the lower levels that we looked at last night? I'm going to try to break it down for you guys and show you a simple view based off the macro volume profile and give you guys my thoughts on where I think price is going next. I am still holding my long position, and I did catch a little bit of a scalp short yesterday. We did get the move down to the value area low at about $86,800. Yeah, caught that move to the downside. So we'll talk about that as well. Let's see. Shout out to Mike. Says, can we skip over to the part where you announce my win of the free funded account? Shout out to Mike. Yeah, by the way, guys, I did pin the comment up there. If you guys want to check out the Warbucks instant funding video, you guys can check that out. I am giving away 10 $5,000 funded accounts or funded challenges, and then one 10K instant funded account. So check that out. I didn't put the link in the description yesterday, so I did put that back in there so you guys can actually get to the website. And also, guys, we'll get into that in just a second. We do have a holiday sale for you guys on the premium Discord. I'll bring that up in just a minute. But let's see who we got in chat. We got Shirley Sound, Alexandra G. Welcome in, Alexandra. Good to see you in here. We got Nirvana in the chat. We got Cypher, shouting out Alexandra. We got Carisha Mella, said, Frankie is flying to my grandparents' house for Christmas dinner. Shout out to Carisha Bella. Hey, bro, if I wind up getting a framed picture of your insane comments, I am 100% going to post that. But yeah, we got Rudy in the chat. What is going on, bro? This sweater. Yeah, that sweater's funny. I actually think somebody sent this. I want to say maybe it was Crypto Billy. But yeah, this is awesome. I'm gonna bring this to. I'm gonna wear this tomorrow night at my family dinner. Servando Estrada said, even Friday there is a giveaway, and I got paid. Thanks, Frankie. Yeah, guys, we give away literally free money. We give away free USD on this channel every single week. Unfortunately, we won't be live on Friday. I will be changing the schedule. Obviously, I am going to be traveling for the rest of the week for the holidays. So, I'll drop market updates if anything crazy happens, but probably no live streams until maybe after New Year's. We'll see what happens. If something really crazy happens, I could just always go live from the laptop. Let's see. Cryptic said, Daddy Warbucks. Thank you, Santa. Frankie, shout out to Crypto Chick. Welcome in. But guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into these charts and try to break down this weird price action. Let's jump into it. So, guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and obviously, let me pull up our local scalp range that we were looking at yesterday. Obviously, actually, I'll start here on the current range. So, yesterday, we were looking at this key level of support, which was sitting here at the value area low at about $86,844. And kind of as we were just bing-bonging around here, we did have the key level of resistance up here, and we wound up rejecting the very, very, very start of that level. And it was sitting here on the golden pocket, between the golden pocket, the POC. We also had an anchored VWAP flying through there as well. Front ran the VWAP. And this fib is actually pulled on log, so if we actually take that off, technically front ran the golden pocket I was looking at, but that zone did start here on the weekly and the daily confluence, which I did take off the chart just because it was tapped. But this was that key level of resistance we were looking at, last week. Let me turn off those anchored VWAPs. I wish there was a way to not make these anchored VWAPs just auto show, just because it messes up the sizing of the chart. But obviously, we did have this major key level of resistance, and we did push up right in there. We got the SFP of this wick high with some low time frame bearish divergences, got the drop to the downside. I did not catch that position, unfortunately, although we did have the setup in the premium Discord. A couple people caught it, but I just was not there on the chart. But I did catch a little scalp short here, which I will talk about in a second. But we got the move. We got above that value area low. We had the long play out for a beautiful move into our next key zone. We got the rejection right from that key level, got the drop to the downside. And yesterday, right, the kind of bias here with our low time frame money flow coming out was that locally we would very likely get this move into the value area low, which of course was also the POC of our local scalp range. And on top of that, we also had our golden pocket retracement pulled from the low to the high of this move. And this is what we're getting the bounce off of, guys, today, right? Come down into key support. We got some bullish divergences. We are getting the bounce. And yes, I am still holding my long position over on Femex. I think I have it pulled up here. Got the long position literally at the same exact profit we were yesterday. I got $703 locked in. $703 unrealized. Oh, God, this might be a good sign, guys. Everything's lining up. But then, of course, like I said, I did catch a little bit of a scalp short position last night. Just pretty much my entry was up here at about 88,599. Deviation above the high. We had that 15-minute money flow coming out, and of course we were anticipating to come down to this value area low POC golden pocket zone, and you could just see how perfect this zone was respected, guys, right? Literally getting the bounce right off the bottom of that zone. literally perfect, right, with the bullish divergences. And I actually had a preset TP there overnight because I obviously went to sleep, and it did hit. It tapped, made a little bit of money on there. I think I might have this pulled up as well. Let me see here. Yeah, there it is, right? Obviously a closed position, made about $1,200. Santa came early and gave me a little stocking stuffer while I was sleeping. Not too bad. So, really trying to just rip the money out of the market here while we can in this super wonky price action. But the question is, guys, are we going to get a big bounce from here and potentially move back up to the $91,000 zone, really sitting now between, if I take the weekly off the chart, because that's obviously tapped, sitting here at the golden pocket between 90,700 and about $91,369. Now, this is still a valid level of resistance, so if we do end up getting the bigger bounce here, pushing up into this zone, I will be interested in short positions. Now, a lot of you guys know I do not love shorting POCs, so I will be viewing this as a scalp until proven otherwise, but still the next major level of resistance. And, of course, we do have the anchored VWAP sitting there as well. So you got a decent bit of confluence in here, in my opinion, right? So this is going to be that next major target. And when we looked at some of this higher time frame money flow, we were looking at this last night, 12-hour money flow attempted to cross over into the green. I was a little bit suspicious about this, just because of the kind of bearish environment that we're in. Technically, we're still in the green, right? This is the only reason why I was interested in a potential bounce here, because if we're going to look for a low, a high, a higher low, and a potential higher high into our next key level, right, if this money flow can stay in the green, that could indicate that this could be a higher low. Now, we don't have beautiful confluence here as we looked at last night, right? Market Cipher B is a little bit chopped up. The 12-hour money flow still in the green, 16-hour money flow still in the green. This is obviously starting to come out a bit. And then we also looked at the daily time frame with our money flow attempting to come up, but again, a bit suspicious about this, guys, and I'll get a little bit more into this potential VWAP crossover with the red dot looking to print. Again, very brutal price action. I hate coming up here and just being like, guys, the signals are mixed. Obviously, it doesn't stop us from making money on the trades, but there is not super high confidence in honestly any of these moves just because of this like super low volatility, low volume kind of environment that we're in, especially with the holidays coming. I do expect more wonk, more sideways, more gross price action to play out, but got the Aztec and Cactus Moss Water, by the way, guys. No black coffee today. Well, actually, I already drank the black coffee. This money flow, like for a bigger Santa rally to come in, and of course, we've talked about those bigger targets sitting up here between about, 95.3 and 97K. We have the major anchored VWAP there. We also have, I'm going to kind of break this down into a much simpler kind of viewpoint. Overall, if anyone is hoping for a major Santa rally, guys, we got to get back above this macro value area low. And there are two value areas that we're looking at here. They're pretty much the same thing. So I'll just take a look at this. I'll take a look at this one just because the box is drawn. Where does this say? Yeah, about $92,000, right? So this is going to be the major level to get above. If we are, for some reason, able to just get this money flow to continue up, right? No bullish divergences, which is why I'm a little suspicious about it, not playing out. But if we were at the end of the day just to see this money flow come up, got to be careful of this red dot. I'm going to cover this in just a minute. But if we are able to see some kind of a bigger push to the upside, of course, the big level is sitting here around $92,000, where we have our golden pocket, 786, that same exact level I showed you on the local time frames, right? Anchored VWAP coming through there as well. Very, very key resistance, not only for a potential rejection, but also if we do flip this, right, this is what will, in my opinion, open the door to that bigger move up to our next confluent level of resistance, sitting up here around that 95.3 all the way up to about 97,000, or I call it $97,500, right? So, if we see some kind of a significant end of the year rally, not that, it being the end of the year kind of makes me think, like, there's nothing really about that makes me think there's a rally, but everybody looks for the Santa rally, and I'm just trying to, like, draw out the map of what we need to do to see that come in. Now, I am not really willing to look any higher than this at this point. Of course, if we flip this level, we can look to come up to the value area high, around $103,000, which is also confluent with an anchored VWAP, and obviously gives us the zone around our 50-week, whoa, that's not what I wanted, around our 50-week moving average, right? So you do have that kind of zone up here at the value area high, and this also does kind of line up perfectly with our volume profile, just kind of viewing this as a simple volume profile if we're able to reclaim that 786, $92,300, guys. This is the level that we could not get above every time we tested it, right? Rejection, 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 but technically we are still putting in higher lows, so I cannot rule out the idea of potentially coming up there. If I had major confirmations on the daily, I would feel really confident about it, but we just don't have it. No bullish divergences. And to add a little bit of insult to injury here, we got the red dot looking to print on the daily, and then our 90-minute money flow is headed to the downside, right? So, you know, when we looked at yesterday on the live stream, right, that 15-minute money flow crossover with the 4-hour red dot indicating that we could see that continuation down. That's how I was able to catch that short position that I just showed. You know, it's the same thing, right? That is a market cipher B116 strategy. You have the 4-hour red dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover. This is the same thing, but on the daily, we could look at this as slightly stronger, right? Once that daily red dot prints, if we see that 90-minute money flow start to cross into the red, it could indicate a continuation to the downside, just like that 4-hour 15-minute setup, right? 4-hour 15-minute gives you a little trend to the downside. Obviously, still plenty to make some money. Got paid out $1,200 on that overnight, but you know, this is probably going to pay out, if this does wind up happening, right? It could play out for a much bigger drop to the downside. And I'll talk about the line in the sand that I'm looking at. That if lost, right, we would be looking for a much bigger drop down. But at the end of the day, guys, I'll turn off some of this stuff to make it a little simpler. And I'll even take off these higher levels, right, because these are still really far away. We will touch base, right? If we just start ripping up here, guys, I will make an emergency update. But at the end of the day, let me just hide this anchored VWAP. We'll take off the 50-week moving average. You know, the big level to look at is going to be sitting right here, right? Like, we already rejecting the golden pocket. If we get back up there, you know, this is the level, $92,300. If we could flip that, that's what opens up the door for the bigger move. And again, I wish, right, if we have the daily green dot about to print, right? If we had daily bullish divergences down here with the daily green dot about to print and money flow coming up, I'd say, hey, this looks pretty good for a continuation to the upside, and I would be targeting this level. But with the daily red dot incoming, with the 80 and 90-minute money flow coming out, that is a bearish setup, guys, which does indicate a continuation of the downtrend. And I will go over the local levels in just a second, but let me jump on into the chat and see what you guys are thinking. Let's see. Love your Christmas sweater. It's beautiful, not ugly. So please don't say that. Merry Christmas. Shout out to Behavish. Hopefully I said that right. Shout out to you, brother. Yeah, you gotta love this, right? This is my family's gonna be like, what the heck is on your shirt? But I'm wearing this. I'm wearing this the entire trip. I'm not even gonna wash it. I'm just gonna stink in New York wearing this sweater. Let's see. Look at that fractal. Shout out to the hustle. What fractal you're talking about, if you let me know, I will absolutely pull it for you. Doesn't look strong enough to make that kind of move, especially during the holidays. No significant event possible. Yeah, shout out to Thomas. That's kind of my base case here, right? Again, it doesn't, you know, if we had, just like we covered last night, right? Like, if we had some, you know, bullish divergences down here on the daily, right, with money flow coming up, I'd feel a lot better about the bigger move up. And the other thing to kind of notice here is this major level of resistance that is still valid. We have already come up and tapped it, right? So this could eventually just wind up being the high. Now, like, how am I handling this price action? Like I said, I did scout that short last night. I am still holding my long from down here at about $85,000. If it plays out, it plays out, right? I'm going to be with family. If I get stopped out, right, I'm not going to be really actively trading this week. I'm going to try to take some time off the chart, spend some time with family, and relax a little bit. I recommend you guys do the same, right? The charts are going to be back here, whether you take the week off, the day off, or, you know, take 2 months off, right? You're going to come back here, whether you're trading at 80,000, 70,000, 60,000, or 150,000. There's going to be trades to have and plenty of opportunities. So, you know, don't miss the important things in life just to chase a little bit of money. And that's coming from somebody whose job is literally to chase money on the candles. But we don't chase them. We trap them. Let's see. Yeah, that sweater is fire. Shout out to Laser Go Pew Pew. I wish we had these in the merch store, but somebody sent this to us. I want to say it was Crypto Billy. Maybe he'll come in and he can let us know that. But yeah, someone sent this to us. Otherwise, I wish we had him on the. I wish we had him on the merch store. We just need a quick Trump tweet about Bitcoin and how it should be a stocking stuffer. Simple. Come on, Trump. Do it for us. Do it for us. I don't even care if it dumps afterwards. Shout out to Knightley said, you're rich. We don't have the luxury. Well, shout out to Knightley, right? People always ask me, I mean, this isn't really, I don't think this is going to really answer your comment, but, at the end of the day, right, I always say, if you want to turn trading into a full-time thing, if you want to be able to catch money, whether price goes up or down, it is absolutely possible. Hopefully I'm an example of that. But this is, I would absolutely not recommend, right, if you are struggling, which obviously I know is the case for a lot of people, this should not be, at least when you're learning, this should not be a way for you to try to jump on the charts and get money to make a living. Like, people always ask me, I want to quit my job and go full-time trading. And, I'm really for that kind of mentality, like burn the boats, give yourself no option to succeed. But that's a really dangerous thing when it comes to trading, only because, you're going to have to go through that learning process. And that learning process oftentimes comes with some kind of a loss, right? You're going to have to pay that market tuition. So it doesn't really even have to do with, how much money somebody has. It just has to do with, if I was not in a situation, if I was in a situation where I had to hustle some money, like in a dire need, I definitely would not be doing that on the charts. And I don't know if that's where you're coming from, but just as a word of, wisdom there, one of the things that kept me alive when I was learning how to trade was that I did not quit my job full time. I had a full-time job at some point, but I also had some other businesses. I didn't stop what was actually making me money to just focus on the charts full time. And if I did that, I would have been in a really, really bad situation. It kind of kept me alive, right? I even picked up some extra side gigs. I was doing not DoorDash. I did like a different version of DoorDash, just to like get some extra money to throw it into my trading account. I used that as my capital to continue to learn, right? I'd put $100 in. When I blew it up, I'd be like, all right, well, let me take back out of my trading fund, put it back in, continue to learn. So just a little bit of word advice if you're looking to learn. But we got to work to get better. Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to you, brother. Absolutely. 100%. And whether you do that on a small account, my thing is just like, I wouldn't rely on trading when you're trying to learn to make money, right? Because not only is that putting you in a bad situation where, when you blow up that money, you're not going to have income. But also, if you are trading and let's say, you get stopped out a bunch of times and you start losing money and you're losing your rent money, not only is that a bad situation to be in, but it's also actually, I know this is weird to understand, guys, but it's the absolute truth. It's going to harm your learning process because all that does is give you more of an emotional attachment to your trades, more of an emotional attachment when you lose, and that's like literally counterproductive to learning how to trade. So as long as you're not trading with more than I'm not saying don't trade over the break, right? I know a lot of people also have time off during the break. That's a great time to practice, but it's probably going to be wonky price action, and yeah, you don't want to. The whole point of the whole thing when you get into trading is you want to try to remove the emotional tie to your money, because you don't want to get emotional when you get stopped out. You should never be emotional about it. You're going to feel those emotions, but you don't want to let them get to you. And if it's your rent money, right? It's like if I need this $500 to pay my rent or whatever, and you lose it, right? It's only going to make you want to revenge trade more. It's going to make you want to gamble more, which is totally counterproductive to making consistent money long term. But absolutely, shout out to Knight. You do have to practice on a demo account, or practice on a funded account, or practice on just a small account with money that you're willing to lose. Where's Mrs. Claus? Mrs. Claus is out right now. She's probably going to come and drag me off the live stream because we do have to catch a flight in not too long. I thought my flight was going to be later, but it wound up being earlier. Shout out to Darren Does Things in the chat. Welcome in. Welcome in. It was Pollo, I think. Maybe that was it. Shout out to Crypto Pollo. Yeah, he sent me a few things. So, yeah, that makes sense. Shout out to Crypto Pollo for the ugly Christmas sweater. Very beautiful Christmas sweater. It's not ugly. Read the poem before Christmas, Tony D. Has sent it to you. Yeah, shout out to Perry. I will read that. I will read that in just a minute. But let me just jump back on the charts here real quick, guys. Like I said, I mean, technically we've already rejected this level, but if we do get a little bit of a rally here, which again, I am suspicious of with this incoming daily red dot, but if it does happen, I just want you guys to have the key levels before I head out because I am going to be busy. Might not be able to hop on for as many market updates this week, but it is going to be sitting here between about 90,815 all the way into the value area low, and then this is the major key level. If we could flip that, guys, this is like I would set an alert on this level, $92,300. We start flipping that, guys, beep, beep, beep. You could be like, okay, we hold this, man. We might be able to finally get our move up into this big level. What is the probability there, guys? I would say 60%. No, I would say maybe 40%, just because we don't have the beautiful confirmation. So I'm going to prepare you for the move to the downside as well. But if we do get the move up, just assume maybe this fakes out. We get the, money flow to come up. That is going to be the big level to watch. Above that, you're looking at 95.3 to 97K. And then the more probably likely scenario, even if we do come up there, get the rejection, we will be looking for the move to the downside. And the two big levels to look at is going to be this wick down here, $83,755. And then this one down here, same level we've been looking at, sitting at 80,500, right? Or I would prefer to just come down and take out this low. Why is that, right? Well, look at the chart. Other than the wick, right? there's really no support here. I'll bring up the last level of support that you have, but there's not a lot underneath here, right? Like when you look at the horizontal resistance and support, hide the volume profiles, right? Like where's all the support and resistance? More often than not, guys, unless I'm taking little scalps like I did last night, the big levels are, up here, right on that value area low, up here on the weekly and daily MPOCs, and then down here at about 79.5 to 78.550, right? So it's like we come up here, major resistance, flip it, major resistance. If we come down, this is the level that I prefer for bigger moves, right? This would enable us to put in the massive massive high time frame bullish divergences, such as the 2-day and 3-day bull divs. We already have the 3-day green dot printing, but, potentially if we come down there, something I will be looking for are those high time frame bull divs, right? 2-day, 3-day, maybe even the 4-day. So those are the big levels. 79.5, and I'll just mark them out here with a box so you guys can get a nice simple view, right? Right there. 79.5 to 78.550. Bada boom. Key resistance. Major level up here. And then in order to even get access to that level, you gotta break $92,300, right? These are the major levels to look at. So there you go, right? Obviously, higher time frame still doesn't look good. I'm not going to cover this for 5 seconds. Actually going to cover it for 5 seconds. High time frame money flow coming out. I don't like it, even if we get the rally, right? This does not really look that good. Now, the last local level, right? I'm not saying this is huge, but if we pull up our scalp range, right? Because, of course, you can wait with alerts on these levels for major reactions and look for your confirmations. But of course, right, to catch trades before that, right, you got to look at these local scalp ranges. And this is how I was able to catch that short position last night. We actually came down to reject our golden pocket. And just to give a little education here, why was I looking for this? Well, at the end of the day, we had our 15-minute money flow coming out with our 4-hour red dot, indicating that the trend will continue down. Money flow coming out indicates the trend will continue in whatever direction the money flow is going. If it's going down, trend is going to continue down. Money flow comes up, trend is going to continue up. And when I'm looking at a 5-minute, I'm not necessarily looking for a massive move, but when we had our key level down here between 87.1 and 86.5, that was kind of the target, right? We come up. This is a golden pocket 786 retracement. This is where we look for the lower high. Money flow is indeed coming out. Catch the entry back into the range. At that point, the next highest probability area for price to go is that point of control, which was already part of the target. So in this context, right, hyper locally, hey, 88,261 is going to be a key level of resistance to get above in order to continue up. But if we can't do that, right, if we just wind up, either coming down from here or maybe just getting stuck on this value area high, if we lose this POC, the only other level I am interested in just locally, and I would be looking at this as very short-term scalp trades, will be right down here at the value area low. There's a couple of things down here. We're already getting the bounce off the golden pocket, which was the level yesterday. Bull divs, we're getting the bounce. This is already turned into a, come on. We already got like a almost 2% bounce. But if we end up losing that POC, I don't expect the golden pocket to hold up a second time. So if we do wind up rotating back down here, just simple volume profile, value area high, 88,269, POC, 87.1. If we can't get back above that POC, guys, the next target is obviously going to be that value area low. Now, this value area low is also confluent. Let's grab a horizontal ray here, right? Also confluent with our 786 Fibonacci retracement. This is the line in the sand. If we can't hold this, right, maybe we just kind of bing bong around here over the Christmas break, right? We just stay inside the profile. But if we can't hold this, guys, that's where I anticipate to come down to that wick at 87.3, right? And then here, I'm only interested in scalps. Other than that, right, the big level is sitting all the way down there. The levels I just brought up for you guys. Mark them off on your chart. Those are the biggest levels to look at, but I do like to cover the scalp levels for anybody who's interested in trading or scalp trading, just simply a volume profile. 786 value area low. Lose that. Last opportunity, 83.8, call it. But again, at that point, I do think eventually we'll come down and take out the low at 80,500. Let's see. Shout out to Yoda. Said, Frankie Candles, if gold tops out in 2026, shouldn't the money flow on BTC and stocks? Yes, that's a plausible theory, absolutely. If so, what happens to the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, which suggests 2026 would be a bear market correction for 365 days? So shout out to Yoda. That's a great question, bro, because that is kind of what I entertain as this cycle being different, right? The only reason, and again, I'm not saying it's impossible to just bottom out here and moon. I do think it's the much lower probability. Obviously, if you watch the channel, you'll know that. You might hate me because of that, but it's just what the charts are saying, right? But I do think, right, two things could be true at the same time. I do think that 2026 could still, right, like the 4-year cycle can remain somewhat intact, right, where like the top comes in literally almost the exact same time as it did last cycle. I won't draw like the entire thing here, but because I'll have to pull up a different chart. But we had this 1-to-1 time fib, right, where the top came in 2021. That 1-to-1 time fib was on October 20th, right? So literally the top comes in like within days of where it came in 2021, which of course is rhyming, right? Doesn't always repeat. History doesn't always repeat, but it oftentimes rhymes. So we could see it repeat in some way. But the one thing I will anticipate, right, because you also can't ignore the fact that if gold tops out in 2021, they start printing massive money, that would obviously change things. That's not like hoping this time is different. That is actually something different that is happening. So what I do think could be the case is that maybe the 4-year cycle is somewhat intact, right? Maybe the top is in, right? Not saying you have to go down for the 70% drop, right? Like I'm not calling for 30K. Right? At least just yet, right? Our next major levels of support are sitting down here between about 70 and, I would say 59K in our next value area. I'll pull that up in a little bit more detail in just a second. But, maybe it rhymes, right? Maybe the top is in, right? Like not for a 77% drop, but maybe, the charts are right. Maybe the charts are bearish. Maybe the money flow is coming out, and we do get a continuation to the downside. But maybe it plays out a little bit less harshly, right? Maybe we go into 2026, gold tops out, they start printing money. Well, that is something different happening. So it doesn't mean that you have to moon from here, but maybe you see a little bit of a continuation of the bearish chart, right? And you do wind up holding support on your key levels, right? And those next key levels are sitting down here in our next volume profile. And at the end of the day, right, if we can't like hold up here, the next big place to look is going to be sitting down here between 70,191. POC sits at about 67.5 or call it about 67.5, and then the value area low sits down here at 59.5, right? So maybe you do end up seeing, even if you get a big rally, right? Maybe we do see that continue to play out, and then maybe we could start looking for bottoms down here. Now, I just don't know if that's going to be the case because I don't know what the macroeconomic situation is going to be. I don't know what the charts look like down here just because we have no information. But, we're not calling for 30K. I'm not necessarily, I would expect to come hit this level at some point. If the charts don't turn around in an aggressive manner and I don't start seeing bullish confirmations or bullish signs that we can get a big move up from where we are now, which I do not see currently, this is the next expected place to come. But this is, also not a 77% drawdown like we saw in 2021, right? So maybe that is how the cycle is different, right? Just a thought, right? Who knows? We're just speculating here. We're all just basically making our best guesses. And that's just kind of my thought process, right? And then, if it looks like trash down here, maybe we'll have to call for lower prices. And then maybe eventually we're looking for 30K. But, I will be interested if the macroeconomic environment starts to shape up. We see money printing. They replace Powell. If that stuff all starts to play out, gold tops out, you're 100% right. That would, in my opinion, be good for risk on assets. And in that case, right, if this, then that. If that happens, that's good for risk on assets. I would never just hold on, but 4-year cycle. I'm actually always been in the camp that, the 4-year Bitcoin just follows traditional assets, right? So if everything else melts up, I would expect Bitcoin to follow 100%. Let's see. Shout out to Dave Digital in the chat. Says 6'7". Oh man, I'm unk, guys. I get it. It's from a song. I don't know what the 6'7" is. Guys, do yourself a favor. Go to Google and just Google the number 67. Let me know when you do that. That is a mandatory thing in this chat. Go Google the number 67, not 6'7". Just look up 67 on Google and hit enter. Man, we might be near the end of humanity, guys. Somebody go do that and tell me what happens. But yeah, that song is actually pretty fire. I actually like that song. I believe 2026 might set up for something big. Come on, Chirpow. You only got 6 months left. Do something for us. Let's go. And if you don't, we're kicking you out. Shout out to Dave said, I can't believe Frankie can't tell us what the charts look like in the future. I don't understand why he just won't tell us what the future holds. Shout out to Dave. My kids were ahead of you. Yeah, I think everybody was ahead of me on that. I'm pretty terminally on Instagram Reels, too. That's the only reason I know what that is. Why does the screen shake? Shout out to Hiram. I don't know. The kids go 6'7", so I don't know. We're cooked. Yeah, we're totally cooked. If you Google 6'7", we're cooked, guys. Someone at Google was like, we got to make this meme come true for the kids. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the long term. I forgot who said that, but I do think that's that's totally plausible, right? Like, just like I don't ignore the bearish signs, I don't ignore the bullish things either, right? I totally take that into account and understand that can change things. I'm prepared for it. We're ready for it, baby. We're ready. Wow, my web browser did a dance, right? If you don't know the 6-7 beam, that might not make sense, but yeah, we are totally cooked. If you Google it, the whole screen just goes like that. I've never even seen Google put an Easter egg in like that. I don't know. Maybe I don't use Google enough. But let's see. Well, it's so funny. We only know 6-9. Yeah, like that's like the millennial thing. Millennial thing was 6-9. Now it's 6-7. Oh God. Yeah, it's wild. But anyway, let's continue on, right? So a little bit of long-term analysis for you guys, but we covered all the key levels. We'll see if we can continue pushing up here. You guys know the levels to break. Locally, we got to get above 88, 285, right? 88.3. And then for the bigger move up, right? Just don't forget the kind of overall macro viewpoint here. Come out to a higher time frame, right? Got to watch that value area low at about 92.3. That is what I'm going to be looking at right up here. $92,300. That's the big level to get above. Is there a good chance of it? I wouldn't say based off the charts. But again, if this, then that. If we get the move up, major resistance. If we get above it, I think we can get the squeeze up, because you have to understand here, guys, everybody is, oh my God, super cycle, just like last cycle. All-time highs. The only thing pointing downward was really the chart. And then it's like, once you get down here, it's like, hey, we're at some kind of big support. You start wiggling around. There's probably a lot of people trying to build shorts up here, and or I should say down here. And it just, if we did get the push up here, you could just kind of squeeze out those shorts, which could give you that big relief rally. Again, like, I wouldn't say the charts are necessarily pointing towards that being a super high probability, but if this, then that. We start flipping here, a lot of the shorts might get cooked, which could help you push into these bigger levels. And then, hey, flip the POC. We could be looking up to those higher prices, but again, we'll talk before that happens, very likely, unless we wake up tomorrow and we're just sitting at 102K. Yo, shout out to Imagination, said, just discovered my emojis. Shout out to Imagination. Yeah, if you do have a Frankie Candles membership, you will have access to those special emojis. You get the purple candles, you get the golden emoji, the Bruce Buffer emoji. It's funny. I always say, here we go, which is not what Bruce Buffer says. That's the actual UFC commentator. Bruce Buffer says, it's time. Shout out to Bruce Buffer, one of the absolute goats. Show ETH. Shout out to Crypto Cowpoke. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. Happy to see you here. Let's go ahead and, we'll take a look at ETH. Again, overall sentiment would kind of be the same for Ethereum, so I won't really go over that, but we'll just kind of cover the key levels here. Yellow X is trying to push you down here on the 45-minute, but let's take a look. Let me hide this anchored VWAP. So, yeah, we're just still holding on top of our support zone here, guys. Again, 45-minute money flow coming out. 12-hour red dot confirmed. Is that a blood diamond? No blood diamond on the Heiganashis. You got the Heiganashi blood diamond here, but you're pushing into support. So it's crazy how you can predict those blood diamonds. But key levels on Ethereum. For me personally, right? Hold the value area low. I mean, this is really, in my opinion, the level you have to hold in order to get the bigger push up into your golden pocket 786 POC, sitting between 31.91 all the way up to about 33.36. Flip that. Well, hey. We're inside the volume profile. You can start looking up towards about 36.55. Like, here's your 12-hour money flow. Was trying to cross into the green or still trying to stay in the green. We're holding higher lows here, guys. We're holding, technically, right? Overall, you're kind of holding higher lows here. As long as we can hold this value area low, this could be in the cards. It's just I'm a little bit suspicious here, just based off the overall environment that we're sitting in. Daily money flow still trying to trend up, but again, just like on Bitcoin, you have the daily red dot incoming, and your 80-minute money flow is already crossed into the red. Your 90-minute money flow is already crossed into the red. So again, that is a bearish market cipher B116 setup. So just be aware of that. This could indicate the trend is going to continue down, and we will eventually lose this. But until we lose it, it's not over until the fat support breaks. We hold this. Hey, maybe this fakes out. But the big levels to watch here, again, 31.90 up to 33.40. And then if we do lose this level of support, the next key levels I'll be looking down to. Let me just, this is going to drive me nuts, guys, these yellow lines. Let me just update these. I know this seems trivial, but it's really good for my mental health. If we do get the bigger drop to the downside, I will be looking at the value area high at about 26.75. We've already gotten support on this value area high. And then, of course, this is going to be a very important level to hold, because if we cannot hold this, guys, very likely we get accepted into this profile and move closer down to the POC, sitting at 25.30. and then down to the value area low at about 24.63. And you can just see this profile is pulled from this consolidation back here. So that's what I'd be looking at on Ethereum. Other than that, money flow, market cipher B looks almost exactly the same. It's not fat. It's big boned. Shout out to Mystic Ruin. Sorry. I don't want to offend anybody. Dump it already. Shout out to Dave Digital. That's kind of how I feel, man. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Just send this thing down. Also, guys, I forgot to say this. Holiday sale for the Premium Discord. We already ran the Black Friday sales, and here we are again with another holiday sale on the Premium Discord. Every subscription other than the monthly has discounted prices. Save up to $150 on the Premium if you guys want to get in there. Full disclosure, not a signals group. I've explained many a times how we Premium Discord works. I spoon feed you my trade setups that I'm looking and waiting for. We talk about the exact confirmations that I'll be looking at. That way, if I'm not on the chart, right, you'll be able to catch those trades as well. Never financial advice, but just as like an example, I could even bring up the because actually a perfect example is the short position that we were looking at our last major key level at 90,200, was unable to catch that trade, right? But because we had this, we were waiting for this level, talking about the confirmations we wanted to see, and, they were able to catch that. I did not take this position, right? So it's spoon-fed trade setups, and even last night in the on the scalp short that I took, right? Sometimes I'm not at the PC. I'm not on Discord, and I take a position while I'm out. But I just jump in and I say, hey, guys, I'm taking a short for this reason. Not financial advice, not a signal, just sharing with you what I'm doing. I don't want you guys to see me in a short position and be like, what the heck? So even on those bigger, quicker trades, I always at least update everybody on what I'm doing. So if you want to follow along, it's also very educational. 2 live streams a week. Talk about some more of the advanced entry strategies. We talk about exocharts a lot more in there as well. So yeah, check it out. If you want to take your trading to your next level. If you're a complete beginner, start on the free YouTube channel. It's a free trading course. Until you watch all those tutorials on the YouTube channel, at least the entire beginner series, start with the free stuff, right? And then, when you're ready to level up, then you can check out the Discord. Is the 4-hour candle, a bullish sign for a push up? I'm long. Should I TP at the local $89,000? Well, shout out to Aziz. I can't really tell you where, when to sell your position, but what I can say is the 4-hour, this is another thing for the continuation up, right? You do have the 4-hour green dot looking to push. Your money flow was trying to come up yesterday, got a little rejection, but generally it is trending to the upside. If I were holding a long position, which, technically I am holding the position over here on Femex. I'm only up $643. Well, not really, plus 700. But if I were, I don't know exactly where your entry is, but if I were looking at this, right, I would definitely be paying attention to the scalp range, right? So yeah, like 88.3. This is a key level of resistance. If you can't break out of here, we could just continue through the profile. So I would even say up here is a pretty significant level of resistance. But if this 4-hour green dot prints, right, we could check that 15-minute money flow attempting to come up. Again, it's not super pretty. We came down. That played out beautifully for the scalp short last night. We tried to come back up. Now we're back in the red. But technically, you are trending up. So one thing to look at for the local move to the upside would be that green dot on the 4-hour with the 15-minute money flow crossing into the green. And then if you could flip that value area high, maybe then you can get the bigger push to the upside. But at the end of the day, if you're up on 2% on this move, again, I don't know your position size, I don't know your entry, anything like that, but this is major resistance. So just take that for what it's worth. Maybe even moving my stop loss to break even would probably be something I'd be thinking about there. So if my position was, again, let's say I was looking at that golden pocket that was sitting here, which obviously we talked about yesterday, and how that 15-minute money flow could bring us down there, which obviously was the case, right? If you did see that bull div, you look to take the trade, right? Obviously, the overall kind of target for that could have been the point of control, right? Like if you're long here, you're holding the value area low. If your money flow continues up on the higher time frames, like the 4-hour, well, hey, maybe your longer term trend continues to the upside, and eventually you could start targeting near that POC at about $91,000. But that doesn't mean that, with the wonky signals here, that you can't watch those local resistance levels, right? So if you get up here, I probably would have already taken it. But, even stop loss to break even would not be a bad sign bad thing in my opinion, right? Not financial advice. Just kind of showing you what I would do. Risk-free trade. That 4-hour money flow continues into the green. Well, hey, you're in, right? But kind of the local targets there, you can't ignore those kind of local resistances, right? So you pull up the scalp range. It's like, all right, well, cool. Maybe a TP1 for the 2%, lock it in, Stop loss to break even, guaranteed winning trade. If you get stuck in the profile and you do continue down, which is definitely not impossible, well, hey, you get stopped out in profit. But you're also, if it does continue up, you still have that opportunity to capitalize on a bigger move to the upside, right? And again, like the next major target, in my opinion, would probably be like $91,000, right? And then eventually pushing into the bigger zone. So there you go. That's kind of how I would handle that. Shout out to BTC Bill gifted the Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Christmas came early from BTC Bill with the stocking stuffers. Thank you so much, bro. That's very generous of you guys. Those memberships are not cheap, and BTC Bill's been showing a lot of love to the Mafia, gifting those. And he sent a super chat. Thank you so much, bro. $50 super chat, BTC Bill. Come on, bro. Come on. I appreciate you, man. Merry Christmas. I wish I could send you a super chat. It says, let's go Bitcoin. Come on, baby. Come on. Send it. Shout out to Al Jr. Says, whoa, had to put the Plunksy in the ashtray, rub my eyes, drink some dark coffee, and realize that Frankie Candles is live at this time. LFG, puff fast, and dump it. Shout out to Al Jr. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Overall, BTC is bearish. Why is it going up and taking stop losses? Explain it. All right. Bet. Let's do it. It's just the name of the game on Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin loves liquidity. It's actually one of the things I love about Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin just loves to hunt liquidity, and sometimes they like to wash out the shorts before they finally send it down. This is why I love SFPs. And you can see that last SFP into our last major level of resistance here at about $90,300, right? Beautiful swing failure pattern here. And what happens, just to explain kind of the thought or the theory behind a liquidity sweep, is that, people who are short here have their stop losses above, right? And then when price reapproaches that level, if you are going to continue down, what you can see happen is, oftentimes you'll see like a bigger wick than this. And, that's where you see like these big wicks up, big wicks down, right? That is indicating that all these short positions got wrecked. And that's what a short squeeze is. A lot of people see a pump and they're like, oh, it's a short squeeze, which a lot of times is true. But sometimes I'll see someone like, oh my God, it's a short squeeze. And then I like look at the liquidity, I look at the order flow, and I'm like, that doesn't look like a short squeeze to me. That just looks like, buying interest, right? And a healthy move up. There is a difference, right? Because short squeezes oftentimes are fake outs before a move to the downside, which is a big part of my strategy, right? The reason I love SFPs is because, let's just assume, right? This isn't even really the best example. I mean, it's a pretty good example of an SFP. If you have people short here, their stop losses are above that wick somewhere. And again, oftentimes you will see a bigger wick. But when you get stopped out of a short position, it creates a market buy. That is why shorts squeeze. That's why when you see the shorts get wrecked, that's why you actually get the push up. Because when those shorts get liquidated and stopped out, it creates a market buy. And then oftentimes the reason this happens is because, can't like legitimately prove this, but the way I view this is market makers, they need to fill limit orders. Market makers, they cannot trade, they cannot use market orders because of slippage, fees, a bunch of other reasons, right? So what they have to do is they have to set limit orders, passive orders, right? Sitting here, and they have to fill them somehow. So sometimes what they'll do is they will scam price to the upside, squeeze out the shorts to come up and fill their larger limit orders. And then eventually those larger limit orders, right? Let's just say, whatever, there's a bunch of those big limit orders up here. Price will come up, squeeze the shorts, in turn filling their larger limit orders, and then when that pushes the price down, all these people who are getting scammed out of their short positions are now thinking, oh my God, breakout, and what do? Then they're going to be, oh my God, price is going up, that means long, right? Long. And then you get millions of people in here, just long, right? Stop losses all below these lows, right? All their stop losses are going to go below these lows, below these lows, below these lows. And then what happens is when that larger limit order ends up pushing price down, you get the opposite of a short squeeze. You literally get a long squeeze, and all the longs get wrecked. And when you get stopped out or liquidated out of a long, it creates a market sell, which is why you see the SFPs give you those big dumps to the downside, washing out the longs. Wreck the shorts, wreck the longs. So that's kind of like a quick theory. I have a video on SFPs and the theory and how to trade them specifically, how to find good entries on them on the channel. You can check it out. It's in the beginner series. I highly recommend it. But there you go. That's kind of a little bit of a theory on why that happens. Shout out to Darren, says a short squeeze is a 5 to 10 K BTC candle. Most of the time it's a stop hunt, which is a far smaller short squeeze. Shout out to Darren. Yeah. And on Bitcoin, you get like these crazy moves. Is an SFP an example of smart money concepts? Yeah, I don't trade smart money concepts, but yeah, I think smart money concepts has a lot to do with liquidity, right? Because it's like going with the smart money. Hey, I see the smart money pushing price up. If they wreck them here, they're probably going to push it back down. Yeah, I would consider it a smart money concept. Yeah, shout out to Jesse, said stop hunting is not just a conspiracy. Stops are liquidity. Yeah, 100%. Like quite literally. When I mention liquidity, even when we look at the heat maps, like I'll just pull up a heat map here real quick, right? When I talk about the heat maps, right, when I mention liquidity, I am mentioning liquidation. I mean, this is literally showing you estimated liquidation levels. This is not pinpoint accurate. It's just estimating where the liquidations are. But when I mention liquidity, I am referring to stop losses and liquidation levels. You're trying to find out, right? Well, if the longs are going to get wrecked down here, right? We do still have a little liquidity sitting down towards about 84.8, right? So maybe we come down and sweep that. But you'll see, right? Like what happened here? Liquidity above, push it up. I mean, this is perfect, right? There's your big wick right here, right? Just to kind of show you the one-to-one. There's that wick, 90,350. Oh, that's not the wick. This is the wick. Well, there it is. Still, 90,350. But even above that wick here, right? $88,000. You have liquidity sitting there. Price pushes up. You get a little mini SFP for a drop down, super wonky price action. But then you come up. You have all this liquidity up here, oftentimes acting as a magnet, right? This is why we say it's a magnet, right? Like that liquidity sitting up here, the closer you get, the more likely it is to come sweep out that liquidity. And then once you rip out that liquidity, sweep work, back down. Right? So wash out the shorts and then send it down, maybe filling those bigger limit orders up there on the smart money, right? And then what happens? You come down, you get a little bit of an SFP here, another move up. We haven't swept all of this liquidity. It's not as easy as just being like, you have to come back down to sweep all that liquidity. Obviously, it's not going to be like perfect, but that's like a perfect example, right? You come up, you sweeper, and send it back down, right? That's oftentimes what you'll see. This is why the heat maps are so helpful, right? And this is coinglass.com, 100% free. I have no affiliation with them. I highly recommend checking them out. I think you have to make an account to use all the features, but it's free. They just need your email or whatever. Let's see. Yes, shout out to Dave. That's what I was going to say. He said, stop hunts are real, but they're not personal. Move your stop loss to a place where it invalidates your trade, and that's all that matters. Absolutely, Dave. I could not have said it better myself. Yes, they're not like a conspiracy. They are 100% real, but it's not personal, right? Like the market makers aren't sitting there thinking like, let's wreck everybody. They're just trying to fill their orders, right? So there you go. And another thing I wanted to touch on that, and you want to set your stop loss on the invalidation of the trade, which is why I love stop losses as well. Because on a stop loss, on an SFP, right, the stop loss is very clear. If I see an SFP, right, I look for the wick above, the candle closure down below, and then that's, again, watch the tutorial in the beginner series. So I'm not going to go into it in full detail here just to save time. But if you did get that SFP to form up here, right, you're waiting for the wick above, the candle closure down below. Let's say you're trading the 1 hour. You would wait for that 1 hour candle to confirm. Once that next candle prints, that's a confirmed SFP. There's ways to get in a lot higher, right, or to get a better entry. So if you get in on that SFP, right, the stop loss is very clear. The invalidation for an SFP for me personally is always going to be above that wick, right? If we break this wick, I'm expecting a continuation, right? Because if this is going to be a stop hunt and a fake out, it's wreck the shorts and then fill those big limit orders, send it down, right? So the stop loss is not only is this a very high probability strategy, but it is also it also gives you you can get a very nice entry for a tight stop loss, meaning you could take a bigger position size because your stop loss is so small. And it's just a very clear invalidation. If we get above that wick, I want to get out of the trade. Now, of course, you can get resweeps. Sometimes you'll sweep. And then even here, you swept the level again. You didn't break the wick, but sometimes you will, right? Sometimes you get a little SFP, and then you get the full SFP. So it's not that you're never going to get stopped out of them, but it's a very clearly defined invalidation level. So it's like, set it where your invalidation is. If you get stopped out, well, guess what? You were wrong about the trade, and that's totally fine. You're going to take losses. I get stopped out. It's unavoidable. It's a part of doing business in trading, right? I wish, it'd be beautiful if you could just take 100%, get 100% win rate, but it's just not possible. Let's see. Shout out to Laser Go Pew Pew says noobs shouldn't do more than 30x. 4x is better. Shout out to Lasers Go Pew Pew. To be honest, If you watch in the beginner series, again, if you guys are here and you've never watched the beginner series, it's literally a free beginner's trading course. Go check that out. I have a video in there, the only leverage trading tutorial you'll ever need to see, something like that. I explained why leverage is not really as important as people realize. People think high leverage equals more risk. That's not necessarily the case. And I explained that more in that video. But at the end of the day, right, like, if you use 100x leverage, your liquidation level is going to be a lot closer, right, than if you use 5x leverage. But that shouldn't matter as much. That shouldn't matter. That should not increase your risk. Like, you guys will sometimes see me in an 80x trade or a 100x trade. I'm not risking getting totally liquidated. And if I am, I'm just using that. I'm using a tiny position size. And if I get liquidated, it's like getting stopped out. But go watch that video. I explain exactly why leverage is not. If you see leverage as, if you're using 50x leverage and that's super risky because you're going to get liquidated, you should never put yourself in a position to get liquidated, right? You should be using a stop loss in the invalidation of the trade. So yeah, go watch that video. It's super. A lot of people don't talk about it. It's very important. If you're using a stop loss, you should never get liquidated. If you get liquidated, that is a decision that or a mistake that you made, right? Not that I've never been liquidated. I've, of course, gotten liquidated, probably more than anyone here. But anytime I get liquidated, I'm like, it's like, am I mad? Like, no, I put myself in a position to get liquidated. There's no, you never want to be like, oh, my liquidation's pretty far away. That's never going to get hit, because that is when the market will humble you. Can't tell you how many times I've taken a trade or even bought and been like, it's never going below that level. And then market will shock you. So just be careful. Still no balls of steel emoji. Shout out to Jesse. I wonder if we would be able to do that. I don't know if that it would just look like a robotic piece. All right, so there we go. Let's see. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. Overall, BTC is bearish. Oh, no, we already read that. So I think we're all caught up here in chat. Shout out to Jose. Says, if you don't know where the bounce zones are within $150 range, you need to study the charts more. Yeah, potentially. But even if you were unsure, right? Like, even if you have really, really good levels, right? Sometimes, who knows, right? Like, you could have a really good level sitting, right here, right? And you could think like, well, hey, $150, right? It's going to bounce somewhere here, and then you get a big liquidation wick. So you always want to look at it as somewhat of a zone, right? You're never just going to reject off of, a lot of times you will reject off an exact key level, right? For example, weekly, and then you also had a daily up here as well, like almost directly off that level. But sometimes, if that liquidation wound up pushing you up a little higher, well, you're just going to get stopped out very, very aggressively. Low risk, high leverage trade is what I like. Yeah, shout out to Lasers Go Pew Pew. And people will say, high leverage, low risk. How is that possible? You got to study risk management if you don't understand that. But yeah, shout out to people will be like, low risk, high leverage. How does that work? But shout out to Lasers Pew Pew. He clearly understands that. Love you, Frankie. Don't tell my wife. She's right next to me listening. Yeah, Rudy, you're just a casual viewer. I know, nothing weird going on here. Hope you have a great Christmas, Frankie. Counting down the days till I'm in the premium Discord. I'm shooting for this coming March. All right, shout out to Thomas. Looking forward to having you in here. We also do have the sale going on right now as well. Christmas sale. Always wait for the wick before you buy. Yeah, of course. A lot of times I'm entering on the wick, right? Or not on the wick. It depends, right? Like, there's so many ways you can enter a trade. Like an SFP, right? If you want to be more aggressive, right? Like, there's no rules, right? Like, I think it's a lot of people don't talk about. There's a lot of subjectivity to trading, right? If it works for you, it works for you. There's a lot of things that I don't do that if someone else was doing it, it was working for them, I'd be like, keep doing that, right? Like, if it's working for you, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Don't just, like, listen to someone else if they say that's not how you're supposed to do it. If you're genuinely making money, just keep doing you, right? Like, I don't trade patterns alone. I talk about this all the time. I don't trade patterns by themselves, right? I think you want to use confluences. I don't trade volume profiles by themselves, right? I need extra confluence. But if someone said, hey, I trade only patterns and I'm profitable. Well, then keep doing that, bro. Like, you just keep doing that. Like, that's not, it's a lot of subjectivity in it. But for like an SFP, right, wick above, candle closure down below, traditionally, you would wait for the next candle confirmation. The problem with that is if you wind up getting a fast dump, right, let's say you get the wick and then this one candle starts dumping and then that next candle prints down here, you're going to get a much worse entry than finding a better, lower time frame trigger down here, which, again, I explained in the SFP tutorial. But At the end of the day, you wick above. I mean, hey, you want to wait till the candle starts moving down here and then take a shot? That's fine if you have small enough risk. That's sometimes what I'll do as well. I like to look for more solid confirmation. What I'll look for is, like, a lot of times when you wick into a level like this, a lower time frame will give you a bearish divergence. You actually had it here on the 24-minute. But let's just say I'll put a vertical line here. Let's say you get the wick up, candle closure down below. Sometimes you can go down to like a 1 minute time frame, and this might not be the case. It's not the case here. But sometimes what you'll get up on the 1 minute is you'll get a nice bearish divergence, and you can enter in on the bearish divergence confirmation, get back down below the level, and then you have a beautiful entry, right? You're like literally in at the top of the wick. That's oftentimes how I'm able to snipe the top or the bottom of the move. But there's many different ways you could do it, right? Some people just wait for the level to get tapped. I don't personally do that, but it's like, hey, I mean, if we hit this level and we bounce, I'm in, right? Sometimes people do that, and hey, if it works, it works. You literally can't hate on something that people, someone's like, no, I genuinely make money. I'm like, oh, I can't really tell you not to do it, right? Let's see. Shout out to Mystic Rune, said there was an SFP of the low today. Yeah, like right here, beautiful SFP. Bada boom. Right, so like when you have that key level, right, obviously we were looking at this key level yesterday, right, for example, right, you want to set your traps, wait for price to push into your trap, and then look for your confirmations. It doesn't have to be an SFP. It doesn't have to be a bullish divergence, whatever you want to look for, right? Those are typically what I look for on top of order flow confirmations. But like, let's say you come down. Well, there's your low, right? Here's your, like, right down here, low, lower, low. No bullish divergence, right? So that's no entry. And on top of that, you front ran the level very slightly, right? We all know those the value area low and the golden pocket are very high probability to get tapped. So what do you get? You get a bounce. Oh my God, I'm going to miss the long. Oh my God, right? But is this a long I would take? No, right? Why? There's just no confirmation down here, at least on the 30-minute, right? Maybe you got a low time frame bull div, but again, you front ran your key levels. I would remain patient, push down, and then you get your tap of the key level. And now what do you have? Lower lows, higher lows. There's your bullish divergence. And you also got your SFP, right? And I know it's a little hard to see with all these levels, right? Your wick down below, candle closure above, send it back up, right? Not a huge move, right? But definitely a scalpable 2% move. All I really need is a 1% move to at least take a little profit off the table, move my stop loss to break even. If it wants to go, beautiful grand slam trade from the bottom. Now I'm obviously long from lower here, right? So I did not take this trade, but that's how I would handle that if I did take an entry there, right? It's like, what would I look for? Well, there it is, right? Bullish divergences, SFP. This is kind of like the CandleMafia trifecta setup. We'd like to see, bull div alone could be good there. But if you get a bull div and an SFP, right, the bull div's letting you know you could get some kind of reversal, and then the SFP is a beautiful entry trigger, right? So there you go. Let's see. How often do you check the charts, Frankie? Just curious. I don't know if I'm proud of this or if I'm ashamed of this, guys. Shout out to TradingView for giving us the stats. I wish I could check my full hours on the chart. It would probably be crazy, but your total average time in TradingView in 2025 was 328 days. I don't know. I try to take some time off on the weekends. I'm obviously always checking the chart. I don't really actively trade on the weekends. But there you go. There's your exact answer right there. I actually know exactly how long. What do I think about the Fu Manchu indicator? How close or accurate is it with Market Cipher? It's different. It's it's close, right? Like the momentum waves are almost the same, but so is the RSI. It's really the money flow that's a little different. I've shown them side by side. They're slightly different. But again, right, like, does that mean it's useless? No, it's just different, right? I'm a disappointed. I expected at least 365. Yeah, guys, when I say this is my obsession, I mean it. I mean it. I don't just say it. Shout out to John Wicks in the premium because I didn't even notice it at first. Added good context to the trade. Shout out to John Wicks over there sniping. I guess John Wick is more of a, I don't know. I guess he's not really known for a sniper, the character at least, but John Wicks is. Let's see. Hard and fast moves up, hard and fast moves down. Yeah, again, like this is just super wonked out price action. I'm going to stop saying that. Hopefully when we come back after the holidays, I can stop saying that because it's not the case anymore. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what we're looking at. We could try to take a look at some of the altcoins maybe. You know, again, maybe not, right? Like it's just everything's all the same as yesterday, right? Like here's Cardano still below the POC, key level still 28 cents. Not really super big updates here, right? Solana still struggling to get the reclaim of its value area low at 124.75. This is like a major level to reclaim for some kind of a significant move up, maybe into the golden pocket at 134.42. If we can't get accepted back into this profile and we get the move down, Solana's next big support level is going to be at the daily and weekly. Daily sits at 112.82. Weekly sits at about 105.662. That's 662. So used to reading the Bitcoin price. 106.62. You know, whatever, $106, $106. And again, right, how does that set up, right? Maybe you get a little daily bull div into the daily, right? But if you don't, or not a daily bull div, but maybe you get like a little, actually, let me see here. Yeah, I can't really front run any of the confirmations here on the higher time frames or the lower times. You're a little too far away to call for that, right? But when you look at this as a zone, right, like are you guaranteed to push down to the weekly? No. But I typically do like to see the push deeper into the level. But, you know, if you came down here, you had a low and a lower low, right? You have money flow coming up and you see, you know, maybe similar you don't really have an SFP wick here. But if you see those confirmations, kind of like what we were talking about on Bitcoin into the daily, well, hey, maybe you get the reaction, right? Bull divs, money flow comes up, maybe you get a little trend to the upside. How big that trend is depends on the bull div that you get. If you get it on the 5 minute, you're not expecting a huge move up. If you get it on the 1 hour, well, maybe you can expect a little bit more of a move up. If price comes down and maybe bounces, right, and then digs deeper into the level to put the bull div in on the weekly, right, and this is like a daily bull div, well, hey, maybe that, with money flow coming up, maybe that can give you a much more significant bounce, right? These signals on the higher time frames are always going to be more significant than the lower time frames. Shout out to Quiet SP says, hey, Frankie, looking for the SFP tutorial in the beginner series. What is it called? Shout out to, I don't know if Tony's in here. If one of the mods can get the link to that SFP video and drop it in the chat, I would greatly appreciate it. It's in there somewhere. I would recommend watching them all. But yeah, hopefully someone can drop that link, or I would find it for you if I could. What do you think of Coinalyze to look at CVD and open interest indicators? Feel like that platform gives wrong info sometimes. Do you have some good suggestions for alternatives to Coinalyze? There's a shout out to Sad. There's a bunch of them. I actually like Coinalyze. I have a video on Coinalyze too. It's super old. Maybe I'll make a new one. But yeah, I actually like Coinalyze. I use Coinalyze from time to time. Most of my order flow stuff is pulled from ExoCharts, which again, I hate showing this on the live stream because people are like, what the heck is this? This is a footprint chart. I'm not going to cover this at all, right? But a lot of the order flow stuff that I look at, right, my CVD that I look at is on ExoCharts. But this costs money, right? This is like a pretty hefty software, and I think it's like $30 a month. But Coinalyze is free. It shows you, it still shows you the CVD to look for the divergences. But yeah, Coinalyze. You can also look at High Block Capital, and I believe CoinGlass now has live charts that you can look at CVD on as well. I think it's called CoinGlass Legend. It's like a new thing that they just recently added. So you can check out CoinGlass Legend. You can check out ExoCharts if you don't mind paying for a software. You can check out High Block. High Block's also paid as well, though. So for free, I would say either CoinGlass or Coinalyze, honestly. That would be my recommendations. So there you go. Let's see. Let's get back into chat here. Oh, Darren dropped it in the chat. Shout out to Darren, bro. You're the man. Thank you for that, bro. So there it is. I will pin it to the top of the chat. I will replace the Warbucks video. And again, if you guys want to check out the Warbucks funded account video, replace pinned message, it's the last upload that we dropped on the channel. And I will be giving away the 10 $5,000 challenges and the one $10,000 instant funded account. Shout out from Nigeria. Shout out to Quiet SP. I appreciate you, bro. Shout out back to Nigeria. Let's go. Thanks for covering my questions. I appreciate it, man. Of course, Sad. That's why we're here, bro. We're here to help. There's always something to learn. There's always something to learn. I'm even always learning. trading is an endless learning journey, right? Because even if you nail down your strategy, right, you might get to a point where you got to start changing your strategy. Like, for example, right, in a low, one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about with like CVD, if you're looking for like CVD divergences, you also want to see a lot of open interest, right? You want to see open interest coming up on those CVD divergences. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Again, I have tutorials on the channel, but in a low volume kind of environment, I don't really look at CVD that much. So, in that case, right, it's like you might see like, oh, like I learned about CVD divergences. They work really well. And then all of a sudden you realize like they stop working, right? And then you realize, well, hey, the ones that aren't working have no rising open interest, right? And then you might kind of come to the conclusion of like, well, hey, if there's not a lot of volume, not a lot of open interest, well, maybe CVD divergences aren't as good of a confirmation, right? There's going to be situations like that a lot, right? Like in different contexts. So you're always going to be learning, right? You might learn of a new setup, right? You might be trading patterns alone, and then you learn about divergences, and then you learn about liquidity, right? I think liquidity is a big eye-opening thing for people because I think you guys oftentimes, like one of the biggest things that I come across when I talk about it is liquidity, and people are like, this guy just broke my brain. I feel like he's talking directly to me because when I talk about SFPs, I always kind of say, you're probably in the situation where you enter a trade to go long and you have your target maybe up here and price comes down to your level. You enter the trade, it starts playing out, and then it stops you out before eventually just going directly to your target. If you get stopped out before your trade plays out in your preferred direction and you get scammed out of your position, you are very likely a victim of a liquidity sweep, right? But once you learn about liquidity, you start to see little mini confirmations here. And then when let's just say you have a, you have like a big wick here. So you got a big wick here, right? And then like whatever, maybe this is a volume profile, right? And then you come down, right? And you have like all this liquidity, right? Bada boom. And then price comes down and you're like, hey, I know there's a lot of liquidity down here. Maybe you see it on the heat map and, whatever. Maybe you could catch the trade, maybe not. But oftentimes you'll be like, oh my God, like, hey, like this looks like a good trade. But sometimes I'll be looking at a volume profile and I'll be like, hey, I like this deviation. Right? I'll say, hey, I like the fact that we're pushing below this volume profile, but I'm not going to enter here just yet. I'm not going to front run the divergence because it looks like we might want to go sweep out this liquidity. And then all of a sudden, boop, boop, close above. And now you're entering in down here after all the early longs get stopped out. You get into your position with your stop loss below the wick. All the longs up here get stopped out. You're entering when they get wrecked, and then your trade plays out in your favor. Right? If you take the trade up here, you get scammed out of your position, and it goes in your direction anyway. You are probably a victim of a stop hunt. I think this really opens people's eyes because maybe they're trading, whatever it is. Maybe they're trading, whatever. Maybe they're trading volume profiles. Maybe they're trading patterns, right? Another example that I can show you is with patterns, a lot of the times what will happen is let's say you have like a bull pennant, right? Oftentimes what happens in bull pennants, like what are retail traders thinking here? They're thinking bull pennant, bull pennant, bull pennant. I'm in a long on the breakout and the retest. Right? And I'm not saying this never plays out. Of course, if you're using good risk management, right, you can totally make money trading this. But oftentimes what will happen, if I see a bull pennant forming and I know there's a lot of liquidity sitting below, oftentimes what I will think is they're probably going to come sweep that liquidity and then send price up, right? So you will see this happen a lot on different patterns, right? So like maybe, and it could just improve, right? Maybe you can just get stopped out less by understanding it. So it doesn't mean you have to change your strategy. If you like looking at patterns and you like it, the context that it gives you, that's totally fine. But if if you're struggling, if not, just keep doing what you're doing. But if you are, maybe you can start thinking about liquidity, and then it like opens up your world, right? This is something maybe you've been making money for a year trading, and then all of a sudden you learn liquidity and you're like, wow, this just improved my gain 10x, right? So you just got to kind of find what works for you and put it all together, right? For me, it's Fibonacci retracements, volume profiles, liquidity, and pretty much market cipher and order flow, right? Some people don't even look at order flow. Doesn't mean they can't make money. So yeah, you just got to kind of find what works for you, right? Volume profiles work for me because it just makes sense to me. Price seeks fair value, right? When price deviates above fair value, you could say it's expensive. This is a good place to look for shorts, right? And even if you're shorting up here, you could say, well, hey, you didn't get the rotation. That's fine, right? Because if you're looking for your shorts up here, you get the confirmations. I don't know if you guys can see this, right? But you get your bearish divergences, right? And you're like, well, hey, I'm not saying this is a perfect example, but like here's an example of a bearish divergence above the value area. This is expensive based off your relative price action, right? Outside of here is expensive. This is where you look for shorts. Outside of the bottom is cheap, where you want to look for longs. You're just always going to have a better chance of your longs playing out when you're longing undervalued price, right? and you're going to be having a better chance shorting at overvalued price. So, you short up here. Well, hey, your TP1, you had a beautiful entry up here. Your TP1 could be the value area high. At that point, you can move your stop loss to break even, right? Hey, TP1, lock in some money, stop loss to break even. If it wants to go back down to the POC and the value area low, well, hey, that's beautiful. I can get a grand slam trade. If not, I stop out in profit. And then maybe you see another setup where you could catch another short position. Maybe it's an SFP, whatever it is, right? And then you could get back into the range. Once you get accepted into the profile with your money flow coming out, you already know the magnetic nature of these volume profiles. Get stuck under the value area high, the next likely place for price to go is the POC and the value area low. And when money flow is coming out at the same time, it gives you even more confidence, right? So this is just like confluence to be on the right side of the trade. Right? Maybe you would have cut your whole trade here. Well, I wouldn't have, honestly. I would have looked for a lower high and a lower low, which you technically got. Money flow was coming out. You just didn't get the full rotation. But maybe there was something else on the chart saying that you should have cut your trade here. I don't know, right? I'm not going to try to go to every time frame and analyze that, right? But here, deviation above the high, right? You get accepted back into your range. Money flow is coming out. You're expecting the trend to continue down. You're expecting that volume profile to be magnetic. Bada boom, right? So it's just like you got to, and I just find this very visually pleasing, right? It's also very nice because this isn't just like a random range that we're drawing. This is actually showing us where 70% of the volume was traded, aka the fair value. Expensive, cheap, buy, sell. Doesn't mean buy every time you're below the value area. Of course, you need your entry triggers, your confirmations, you need your confluence. So you just kind of have to build that out as you learn how to trade. Maybe it's not volume profiles for you. Maybe you like patterns better. That's totally fine. Maybe you like, you just want to trade order flow. That's fine. Maybe you just want to trade Fibonacci retracements and liquidity. That's totally fine as well. You just have to find what works for you. Like trading is not a one-size-fits-all game. Everyone hunts out I need the best 100% win rate strategy. There is no 100% win rate strategy. You're going to lose trades, and most strategies out there are profitable. The thing that makes someone who's trading, you could have a beautiful, I'll just use not one of my strategies, right? Let's just say ICT. This is the example I use all the time. Some people make money trading ICT. Some people lose money trading ICT. They might take the exact same setups. One makes money, one doesn't. What is the difference there? It's the trade management and the risk management. That is what matters, right? You could have a 50% win rate. A 51% win rate, 50% win rate. If you're taking smaller losses and you're not just taking random trades and if your win rate isn't 1%, right? 50-50, as long as if you're going to win half, you're going to lose half. But if your losers are 10x smaller than your winners, you're still going to be profitable over time. Risk management and trade management over win rate every single time. No questions asked, right? So there you go. Liquidity heat maps, right? That's another thing. I use a lot of stuff. And in some environments, I'm only using a couple of those things, right? I'm not always getting confirmation on the order flow, right? And the thing that's beautiful about order flow is the fact that this actually lets me know. This is just the Bitcoin chart. I know it looks super confusing. I'll take off the TPO profiles. It's just the Bitcoin chart, right? Like this is just your regular Bitcoin chart, right? But when you zoom in, it actually tells you what is going on, what the buyers and sellers are doing at each price, right? Inside your candle. Right? If you have a lot of people shorting at the low, I'm not saying this is a perfect confirmation, but just for example, you can see here we had tons of shorts coming in, right? A lot more shorts, it looks, than longs, right? You have a lot of shorts coming in here. What does this tell me just from a general sense? Well, it's like, hey, if I have a lot of shorts coming in here, and maybe I get an SFP, which I think this was the low, right? We did, right? So you get an SFP, and you have a lot of shorts entering, right? So what is happening there? People are trying to short at the bottom, and you see an SFP for a potential reversal, well, guess what? Those shorts, once you come back up, could wind up getting squeezed to the upside, assisting your move up. I'm not saying this is the perfect example. I'm just using this as like, I'm looking here saying like, what's going on in this candle? This is what ExoCharts does, right? Or any order flow software. There's plenty of them out there. It just lets you look in here. And then this just gives you an in-depth view on what's going on in the market. This is like the only way you can see that, right? This lets you see inside the candle and tell you where are people buying, where are people selling inside that candle. It's important, right? Because if a lot of people are shorting the bottom of this candle, and I see an SFP and a bullish divergence, I could say, well, hey, if this bullish divergence gives me a little bit of a rotation up and I start cracking the highs and stopping out those shorts because I know they're there, well, guess what? Retail's going to get scammed out, and my long is going to play out, right? Again, not a perfect example, but I'm not going to spend the time to search for, we cover this more in the premium Discord. But there you go. Just trying to give you guys ideas, right? If that clicks with you, well, maybe look into order flow. All right, so let's see. Frankie's cooking. Shout out to More Timer. We're cooking, baby. We're cooking. Shout out to Jose. Said, think about it. If you work at Walmart or something, all you need to do is make like $100 to $200 a day to quit your job. Shout out to Jose, man. I say this all the time. Everybody wants, and I always try to push people away from the gambling mindset. You don't need to turn $100,000 into $15,000. You don't need to do that. You literally need this to quit a job daily. And you're not going to make it every single day. Sometimes you're going to lose money. Now, you don't want to make 200 one day and lose 200 the next day. That's why risk management is so important. But if you have $200 and you make $200 in one, let's say you make up $200 in a day, and then the next day you take 3 losses and you only lose $30 on those losses. And then the next day you make $150. Well, guess what? Your P&L is going to do this. Oh, $200. Lost 30. Oh, made 100. Lost 20. Made 150. Lost 20. Oh, I lost 30. I made 200, right? And you get that slow, steady, consistent growth. $200, people just jump in. They want to turn it that. They want to get rich overnight. This is the worst mindset to have when you start trading. I know everybody wants it, but it's not realistic. It's very difficult to do. Like even me, flipping a small account is difficult, right? Like, because you're just not working with a lot of capital. So you just start off small. Start small, and you don't need that much money, right? Obviously, you have to pay your taxes. You have to keep that into account as well, right? Like $200 a day, you're not going to keep $200 a day. But it's a lot more realistic and quite literally better. It is going to increase your chances of success to not try to get rich overnight. Because if you get rich overnight, if you want to try to get rich overnight, you're going to gamble. And that even if it works for a couple of trades, over time, you're going to build it up. You're going to make maybe you turn 100 into 1,000. Oh my God, I'm a genius. You turn 1,000 into 1,500. Oh my God, I'm a genius. I'm going to get rich. And then you take a liquidation, you're wrecked, right? You only have to lose 1 or 2 trades until you blow up your account. Risk management is absolutely key. We talk a lot about that more in the premium Discord as well. Risk management is everything. It is the secret to trading. I say this every day. Risk management is the secret. Everyone wants the indicator. Everyone wants the strategy. You're searching for something that does not exist if you're looking for that. I looked for it for years. I say this from experience. I'm like, there's got to be some kind of indicator that just tells me when to buy or sell. And it might look good on paper or on the chart, but it does not play out in real time unless you're managing the risk, right? That is the secret. The shortcut is the long way. Right? If you want something that only a few people can achieve, right? The 1% is the 1% for a reason. The 1% is the 1% because they're able to do what 99% of people cannot do. 99% of traders want to gamble, get rich overnight. That's why most of them fail, right? The strategies, there's a lot of profitable strategies out there. You don't have to use my strategy. Like I said, people make money trading ICT. People make money trading patterns. People make money trading Fibonacci alone, right? But those traders understand the importance of risk management. So think about it. 200, you don't need to make $1,200. Last night I made $1,200 while I was sleeping, right? You don't need to make that to make a living, right? Literally $200 a day. So hopefully that encourages you guys. And then you can always chase more capital later. Once you can prove to yourself that you can grow a small account from not 200 to $1 million, but 200 into 350. And then that 350 into 400 slowly over time consistently, then you can invest more money into your account. Then you could go and look to get a funded account or something like that. Can have a 80% win rate and still get wrecked every time the market moves in the wrong direction. Absolutely. 100% true. Is order flow paid software? I'm sure there's free ones out there. Actually, TradingView has, I think TradingView now has footprints as well. Yeah, volume footprints. Gonna have to go. I don't use it on TradingView, but technically you can look at this on TradingView. These settings are, I think, default. I don't look at this. But yeah, you could technically look at it on TradingView, but I don't have any suggestions on settings or anything because I just don't use this. I use ExoCharts, but technically you can look at it on TradingView. I would have to adjust a lot of these settings to get it the way that I want. So there you go. I suggest ExoCharts. That's just what I'm used to, but there's plenty of them out there. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat will know. Shout out to Felix, said any good resources to understand liquidity and how to understand liquidity sweeps. Yeah, click the link at the top of the chat that Darren put. That is my SFP tutorial. Obviously 100% free. You can check that out to get like kind of a base understanding. And then, of course, you can use something like Coinalyze to identify, like, what do I do? I explain it in that chart, in that video, right? Like, I like to find my liquidity levels on a, 1 hour time frame. I like to find significant swing highs and swing lows where I think, and you want to think to yourself, like, where are people probably long from? Where are people probably short from? And you want to just understand, right? Liquidity is stop losses, right? So it's like, well, hey, if people are short from here, could there be liquidity? I mean, at the end of the day, there's liquidity above and below every high in the market, but that doesn't mean you want to trade an SFP on every high and low in the market, right? You want to have confluence. But let's just say here, do I have a key level here? Well, we actually did, right? What is the key level? Or the key level was, I I don't have, this isn't my running chart, right? Well, the key level was the value area high of the range. I don't remember. I think it was this one. Value area high of the range. This is resistance, right? Now, we actually took this short in the premium, right? Very simple volume profile setup. Push into the value area high, bearish divergences, back into the range, money flow comes out, back to the POC, back to the low. And this value area was actually slightly different. We actually front ran the value area low we were looking at, but whatever. You look at this one, you tap the value area low, right? So beautiful short position, but a lot of people who are gambling are thinking this is the top before we go to $5,000. So they hold their trades for too long. They have their stop losses set. And I could say to myself, like, hey, I shorted this, right? So, like, I could say there's probably still people holding that position, right? And their stop losses are going to be above this high. So what does that mean? That means that if we revisit this high, I can say, hey, there might be stop losses up here. This might be an area where a significant high in the market where I can look for an SFP. You go back down to the value area low, you get a bounce, bullish divergence, back into the POC, back into the value area high. Again, key resistance. And look at this. There's your swing failure. Wick above, candle closure down below. And this actually got a resweep on the 1 hour, right? Taking out your high a little bit. So depending on how tight your stop loss was there, you might have gotten stopped out. But at the end of the day, there's your SFP, back in, back down. And then you got, this was FOMC. You got another volatile wick back up there. But at the end of the day, you get back into your range. Back to the POC, back to the value area low, right? So that's kind of how I hunt out my liquidity on the chart. And then, of course, you can use, one of the big tools that I use is going to be the liquidation heat map, which literally highlights that liquidity, right? Well, hey, this is the high that I'm looking at. I do what I do on the charts. I say, hey, I think there's liquidity up here. Now let me check the heat map. Oh, wow, look at that. There is liquidity up there. This isn't the same high, but I don't think. But let's just say it is, right? Like, oh, wow, there is liquidity there. So let me see if we take it out. Okay, now we swept the liquidity. I got the SFP. Let me go ahead and see if we can get the move down. There you go. Free sauce, guys. People charge for this. There you go. Best free crypto trading value on the internet. Let's see. Shout out to Aziz said, how many times do you take trades with less confluence, but they play out? And why do you take them? Aziz, I'll give you a perfect example. The long position that I'm still holding, already got profits locked in, stop loss to break even. Guaranteed winning trade. If we stop out while I'm on the plane later, well, guess what? I made money. I could sleep soundly on that plane. Well, I'll never sleep soundly on a plane because my brain doesn't function like that. What if I have to jump into the cockpit? What if the pilots pass out? I have to take over. Oh, God. Anyway, but the... for example, right, for the entry that I took down here around $85,000, what was my, like, I even talked about this on the live stream. I didn't even really love that setup, or I didn't love the probabilities of that actually playing out. Now, why was that? Let's look at it, right? I'll just show you in real time. Pull up the scalp range, right? We deviated below this value area low. I was hoping, actually, for an SFP here. Right, I saw these lows, untapped. I know there's probably liquidity sitting down here. We're probably going to sweep it. But this is the thing about price action. Price action is not always going to be as pretty as the diagrams that you Google. Right, if you Google an SFP, it's going to look like this. Level, wick above, candle closure below, send it. Right, it's not always going to be that clean. Sometimes it is, and when it is, it's beautiful. Right, but I was looking for an SFP here. But we didn't get the SFP. You got a failed auction, which is essentially the same thing as an SFP, but you just don't get the candle formation. On the 30-minute, you got down here, but the candle's closed. You didn't get the wick down and closure above. You got a wick down, and then you got multiple 30-minute candle closures below. But what happens? You break back above, and you flip that level to support. This is what we call a failed auction. Price, same thing, right? Price just fails. It's a fake out, right? It's just a fake out. It fails to trade below the level. You reclaim, and we talked about this on the live stream, right? I didn't enter down here because I didn't like there was no SFP. I wanted to wait for not only the reclaim of this, but I actually waited for the reclaim of the value area low. So my entry, I think, is like 85. It's like right around here. So this was a setup that I really didn't love. And why was that, right? We technically had bullish divergence. Like, we didn't have 15-minute bull divs. All we had down here were like super low time frame bullish divergences. Lower lows, higher lows, right? But we don't have it on the 15-minute. We don't have the SFP. Money flow was kind of coming out. I just didn't like that setup. So I was happy to be late to the party and enter on the reclaim of the value area low. Because once I get accepted into this range, there is a higher probability. This is still undervalued price. This is still fair value, right? So when price is undervalued, I'm interested, but in order to be a little safer there, I wanted to wait until we reclaimed the value area low. Then I have a higher probability of getting the rotation through the profile, which obviously played out nicely, and we even got the continuation out of the range for a little bit of extra. But why did I take this, right? Well, at that time, we actually got a higher time frame confirmation, which was what? This is exactly what we talked about in the premium Discord, was I told them, hey, I'd like to see SFPs here, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it on the lower time frames. So what I would like to see confirm here for a better chance of a rotation through this profile, right? It's very muddy down there. We don't have beautiful confirmation on the lower time frames. So I'm happy being late, looking for a flip of that value area low. But one of the big signals, if you don't get the SFP on the 1 hour or the 30 minute or the 15 minute, you could potentially get a higher time frame SFP, which we were looking at the 6 hour. What happens here? Wick down, closure above. So when we got back above that value area low, and when you look at a lower time frame like the 5 minute, you can actually see here, you get the move back in, you flip it to support. Actually, take a look at the 1 minute, I believe. You get back in. Once you get into this profile, you come in, and I actually moved this profile slightly as well, but you get a move in, you flip it to support, and then you get the move through the profile. So once we got back inside this volume profile, I have the cheap asset with a high time frame bullish confirmation, and I wanted to be safer waiting for the reclaim of the value area to get that magnetic rotation of the value area high. So this was a difficult trade. There was not beautiful confirmation, and I even said on the live stream, I don't even really like, money flow was all chopped up. I didn't really like the probabilities of it playing out, right? But what happened? I came down, I swept the key level, I had this SFP on the 6 hour, I got the reclaim of the value area, there's my confirmation, I hit the key level, got my confirmation, I take the trade, right? It doesn't mean if it went against me that I was going to get wrecked. I would just get stopped out for a small loss, right? So at the end of the day, if I hit the key level and I get some kind of confirmation, I can take the trade. Sure, I like to see a ton of confluence. I like to see all the money flow headed in the right direction for a big move, but that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes, especially in this environment, price action is wonky. Doesn't stop me from seeing the confirmations and taking the trades. So there you go. At the end of the day, when would I take a low probability trade? I just take the trade if I hit a key level and get the confirmations. If I have confluence, great. That's an added benefit, and honestly what I really like to see. But sometimes I will still take the trade, but I'll just be a little bit safer, right? I didn't want to take I didn't want to take the trade here. Could I have gotten a better entry? Yes. But I didn't have that 6 hour SFP confirmation, right? So I just had to wait, and I said, well, hey, if we get back up in here, I'll take the trade. That's the trade I'm still holding right now. And it was also, again, another thing that I did there to protect myself was I took a smaller partial position, right? I mean, this is only up, whatever, a little over $1,000. Well, I guess a bit over $1,000. But I lowered the position size, right? So it's just like, I take a partial position. If we got another dip down, maybe I add to it. And if I lost it, it would be a very small loss. So hopefully that, and every trade's going to be a different context, a different situation. But that's an example of like a lower probability trade that still played out. Why did I take it? I hit the key level. I got my confirmation. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out, Aziz. Thanks. No problem, brother. Great question. I'm late in the stream due to pausing. Just saw the long and short. I don't think I would want to see that. Just look at how many FOMO into the short at the low due to following and not real TA. Shout out to Imagine Innocence. I don't know exactly what part of the stream you're talking about, but can we check MicroStrategy? Yeah, we can check MicroStrategy. MSTR. Bada boom. Bada bing. I don't know if we've ever looked at MicroStrategy on the channel. At least like on the live stream. So obviously, like this looks very similar to Bitcoin, right? Like here's your upper range, right? MicroStrategy did not make, I'm just going to make like general thoughts on this. MicroStrategy did not put in the higher high, which is interesting, right? What did it put in? Put in a lower high, right into your golden pocket 786, which is interesting when you look at that next to Bitcoin. Right? Here's that same area. First high, second high. MicroStrategy put in a lower high. Obviously, Bitcoin put in the higher high. Interesting. And now, right, here's your previous value area on Bitcoin. also makes me suspicious of coming down here, to be honest. There's your lower value area on MicroStrategy, right? There's the $75,000 lows on Bitcoin right here. Here's your $70,000 value area high on Bitcoin, right? They're very, very similar. You can see my cursor on both charts, right? So is Bitcoin going to follow suit? I don't know. Very interesting, right? Very interesting. And if you look at MicroStrategy here and we zoom in a bit, let me just mark off these levels. MicroStrategy is actually losing the point of control of the range. So, if I'm looking at MicroStrategy from a volume profile perspective, can't reclaim, the value area high or even the POC, right? The next expected place for price to go is going to be down here to 133. Very similar to how, I would kind of expect this to be the case for Bitcoin, right? I'm not saying you have to go down a straight line like that, but it's the same exact thing, right? Look how similar these are. Same thing. All right, so if Bitcoin winds up coming down to take out this low, hey, maybe you get a retracement. Maybe it winds up being a little bit more of a bear flag, and then you come out. Or maybe you have the local bear flag in here that we looked at yesterday that's just going to play out and dump you down. But at the end of the day, that next big level is going to be sitting between $70,000 and $67,500, just like MicroStrategy. When you lose this volume profile, it's all the same thing, right? This works on stocks. It works on Forex. Here's your value area. When you impulse out of this value area, this is fair value. Price always seeks fair value. Price ranges 80% of the time. About, right? I don't know the exact statistics. It's about 80% of the time price ranges, and then the rest of the time it's either trending or impulsing. So here's your balance. Here's your balance. Here's imbalance. Here's imbalance, right? And then you could argue that this was a slightly smaller balanced area. But we'll just ignore that for simplicity's sake. Balance, balance, imbalance, imbalance. Price seeks fair value, aka balance. So when you impulse out of a balanced area, price does one of two things. It either seeks out fair value, which is, in my opinion, the most likely, right? It's going to seek out previous value, or it's going to create new balance. Shout out to the sneakers. I say it every time, right? Or create new value. Balance, value, same thing. So when I say to myself, hey, we ranged up here, we have balance. If we get imbalance or impulse or a drop to the downside, essentially, right, or a pump to the upside, it works in the opposite direction as well. When we start losing this, especially when you have money flow coming out, why would I expect this to drop to the downside? Why do we expect Bitcoin to break out of this value area? Because money flow was coming out on the higher time frames. That's why losing 108K, I was screaming from the rooftop, sketchy, 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 right? So look at your money flow here on strategy. It's coming into the red, right? So what do you expect there? You look for lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and then you're losing this balance. If we lose this, price is going to seek out the next previous area fair value. So when I talk about coming to 70 to 59K, it's not for no reason, right? I would have been looking, I wasn't looking at we weren't looking at strategy, but I would have expected the same thing. Hey guys, if we lose this, the next major area of balance, maybe I would have looked in here for some potential local support, but which I bet if we draw this, you probably got some kind of low time frame support here, right? And you probably, here's your acceptance into that lower profile. You got a little bounce off the value area low, and then you lose it. At that point, once you lose this value area low, guess what happens? You're going to seek out that next fair value. There's nothing here. This is just a big gap. There's no real support here. There's no balance here. The balance is down here. Price gravitates to that balance. And then this is where you'll see price start to stick. So when I call for these levels on Bitcoin, it's not because I want to call for them. It's not because I want Bitcoin to go down. I just know that the statistical probability, if we lose, just like here, if we lose these lows, right, which looks likely based off money flow, then we're probably coming down here, right? And this is where price will respect. And this is why this is the first place where I'd be interested in looking for significant support, right? So I wish someone asked for this earlier. Maybe you ask for this every day and I just don't see it. But it's exact same thing, right? You lose the value, you seek out previous fair value. You lose this value, right? We lose this. Again, we can't reclaim in here. Get the move up to the POC, flip the POC, go to the value area high, which again is the lower probability based off the high time frame money flow. How would we expect this to come down? You would look at your high time frame money flow. Look at your money flow here, especially on the weekly. That weekly crosses over. You can't reclaim this balanced area. Where is price? Based off of what I just said, where is price likely to go? Well, it's probably going to seek out fair value, right? And the next significant area of fair value is here. And just like we have this little local area, we still have this on Bitcoin as well, which we've looked at in the past, right? We've actually gotten support in here, right? So, maybe we can look at this, right? But at the end of the day, if this money flow continues out, I would expect it to play out the same here. Maybe a little support, but an eventual breakdown to the bigger area of balance. Money flow coming out, trend is likely to continue down, right? I come to these conclusions after hours and hours and hours and hours and days and weeks of analysis on the chart, not just because I want price to go down, right? It's just a higher probability based off money flow for the drop down. The lower high, the lower low. Same thing on MicroStrategy. Yikes. Right? And this was, on Bitcoin, right? I always talk about 2021, right? I think without this, this was the real top on Bitcoin. Socially, sentiment-wise, right? All that stuff. This, in my opinion, was an inflated dead cat bounce to put in the bearish divergences, right? I mean, what did... Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing in 2021, right? Like, I would look at this as the major top on Bitcoin. And again, inflated dead cat bounce. Sure, it prints the bearish divergences, but, in my opinion, this was like more of a lower high, right? It's like fake out, but it was a reject. Maybe we got it on like the monthly wick. Not really. I mean, maybe the yearly. I don't know. But, this was the real top, right? This was a fake out. This was a liquidity sweep. This was just printing the bearish divergence. This was really like a high, a low, a lower high for the continuation of the downtrend. Obviously, it was a real higher high, right? I'm not saying the higher high doesn't mean anything, but those indicators on the chart, the bearish divergences, the money flow coming out was indicating the trend would continue down, and MicroStrategy was actually giving the early signal there with the lower high coming in, and it didn't even come in at the full fib. Pull it up on the weekly. Came in on the lower high fib, and even kind of faked out there as well, but obviously a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Look at your weekly money flow on MicroStrategy. Crosses into the red, low, lower high, lower low. So kind of the same, that's kind of brutal because it's like the same thing as in 2021. MicroStrategy puts in the lower high, Bitcoin puts in the final top, and then dumps. MicroStrategy puts in the high, the lower high, Bitcoin puts in the final high, and then it dumps. So actually very interesting. Thank you for asking for this. And yeah, I mean, you can't reclaim this PLC. I would expect MicroStrategy down at 132.76. We'll see if it plays out. And the money flow would also still point towards that, right? Look at the weekly money flow back here. Started crossing over into the red. Sure, you got a bounce, but you just wound up continuing the downtrend, which is what you would expect when money flow continues to the downside, right? So even if we end up getting a bounce, or I mean, you look at 2021, right? What happens? Weekly money flow on Bitcoin, a little bit behind, right? The weekly money flow on MicroStrategy was already in the red. The weekly money flow on Bitcoin came shortly after. But they still got a little bit of relief before putting in a lower high and a lower low, which the money flow points towards, right? Lower high, lower low. Come back to current price action. Man, I don't want it to look like this. But there's the money flow crossover on MicroStrategy. Is this a leading indicator that Bitcoin is very likely to do the same? Whether I was looking at this or not, I would expect this to eventually cross into the red. But, I mean, it's literally like so similar to 2021. Now, I'm not saying, again, that it has to go down 70% or 77%, right? But it would be, a plausible thought, right, to think with the bearish divergences on Bitcoin, which, by the way, were the same in 2021, with the lower high on MicroStrategy, which, by the way, was the same as 2021, with the money flow front-running on MicroStrategy, which was the case in 2021, and all of that is literally the exact same case here. There's the front. Sorry, you guys can't see the money flow here. I apologize about that. But there's the front run on money flow on MicroStrategy. There's your money flow coming out on Bitcoin, slightly behind. There's the money flow front-running Bitcoin in 2021, right? Crossover. Look where Bitcoin's money flow was. Just about to cross over. Lower high, higher, the top is in, right? Very interesting. So we'll see, right? I mean, regardless of looking at this chart, this just honestly, this doesn't make me feel this way. This just reinforces what I've already talked about. And it just gives more confluence, which is not what I want. Somebody show me something that looks super bullish. So there you go. MicroStrategy's 5-year chart indicates projection of that value area. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that, I don't even know. I'm not going to pull it up. I don't even know if we could. I don't think it's maybe maybe that 5-year wick doesn't fill. Aziz says, can you explain how do you say this cycle is hard but the bull rally is clean? Did you say that? Shout out to Aziz. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. I've said before, I've said this bull market has been very clean as far as, I mean, number one, the 4-year cycle, right? Like literally perfect timing, perfect confirmation, weekly money flow, perfect buying opportunity for a massive bull market ahead. That is very clean, right? A lot of people were saying the bull market is just starting here. Like we're just about to get going, right? Massive dump, slight all-time high. People were saying right here, the bull market is just about to start. And then you start to look at it and you're like, well, I don't know, man. This weekly money flow is way overvalued and coming into the red. I don't know why you would say this is just starting up here. If anything, we would look for some kind of at least significant rejection to the downside, if not a bear market. So, but what the reason this cycle was very hard, easy for Bitcoin, very difficult for the altcoins. Because I think that's where a lot of people's when people say the bull market is about to start, I think they just mean the altcoins because they're watching Bitcoin on this rally and the altcoins still hanging at the lows and they're thinking, well, the bull market has to start. And I think when people refer to the bull market, most new people in crypto feel like they missed the boat on Bitcoin, so they kind of just refer to the bull market as altcoins. But the problem is obviously altcoins price actions tied to Bitcoin, right? So if Bitcoin goes on a full bull market and it's about to either get a big correction that we've already gotten and potentially a bigger one, and the alts haven't rallied yet, right? It's going to puts the altcoins in a difficult situation to rally. So very difficult for altcoins. Very simple, clean bull run for Bitcoin. Very clean, but very difficult for the altcoins. So maybe that's what you're referring to. Money flow is everything. Shout out to Lasers Go Pew Pew. Yeah. And again, it's not like I would never expect this to fake out. Obviously I'm always open to that. I would never just put all my eggs in one basket and just bank on money flow every time alone. Historically, would that have worked out? Yes. But I just wouldn't do that. It's just not smart in my opinion. It would have to have some other confluences, but absolutely, right? Like money flow, I mean, that's proven to be everything, right? And I'm not saying it's moving because of the money flow. It's just been a beautiful indication of what price is going to do. And you only have to go back to the history of Bitcoin to look at that, right? Every money flow crossover on the weekly into the red has indicated a bear market, either continuation or a drop into a bear market, right? And I mark this out constantly on the channel. I think it's important. Right. There's your weekly money flow. Apologize for this being repetitive for people. Weekly money flow, lower high, massive lower low for a roughly 64% drop. Not from the high, but just from the weekly money flow crossover. Here's your weekly money flow crossover in 2017 for roughly a 55-ish% drop, right? From the money flow crossover, not from the top. Here's your weekly money flow crossover on Bitcoin in 2021 for roughly a 62% drop from the money flow crossover, not the top. Weekly money flow crossover has not even crossed over yet, right? So maybe when we get that crossover, depending on where we're at, right? Let's say you get the rally back to the 50-week moving average at about, call it 102-ish K. Again, very speculative, but if we did get the rally over there and then money flow crosses over and we get down to, say, the 50s, that's a 50% drop, right? So, yeah, just kind of my thoughts, right? Or not thoughts, but just what has happened in the past. So money flow, definitely very reliable. Yeah, shout out to Jose's like 50K. I mean, listen, that's why I'm not like, I'm interested in these levels of support. It's the next major zone, right? But, could the bottom come in there? Maybe. But, by the time, if we get down there, we wiggle around here, money flow crosses over, and like this money flow crossover is still early, it's going to be hard for me to say the bottom's coming in there. But if it does, right, if this is the bottom of the bull market, or bear market, right, and again, maybe this is a little shallower. Maybe we don't have to get a full massive money flow wave like we have in the past because of money printing, replacing Powell, etc. Maybe that happens. If it does, I would be interested in bottoms there. But if it doesn't and it looks like trash, it might just play out like the rest of the time, right? But I'm not just looking down to 30K. Like, this is massive support. We'll see what happens down here. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, again, like, if the bottom comes in here, like, who cares, right? Like, we were here a little over a year ago, right? Or not even. It's, like, this would be, this would be so not bad. Again, do I think the bottom's definitely coming in there? It's too hard to say right now. But if that happened, right, that'd be like the easiest bear market to ever go through, right? I mean, we've already gone through, a 35% drop to the downside. It would just be like this plus a little bit. That's much better than a 77% drop to the downside. And again, I can't promise that. We'll have more information once we come play with those levels. But it is like, if we bottom out there, oh my God, what a walk in the park bear market that would be. Shout out to Imagination of Innocence said, finally, someone who pans out and looks at the big picture. That's why I keep coming back. Frankie doesn't miss a beat. So tired of short time frames in such choppy markets. Thank you, Frankie. Shout out to Imagine. I mean, this is what matters, right? I appreciate that comment, man. But it's what matters, right? Like, when in doubt, zoom out, right? Just zoom out. Very important. It's very important, right? Like, someone will be like, oh, my God, 6% rip to the upside. The bull market is like everyone's like every move up. It's like bull market starting. It's like you got to zoom out. You got to zoom out. Look what has happened in the past. Do some real research, real analysis. Not to spread fudge, shout out to Mike, but I heard from a guy who heard from his friend's cousin who heard from their neighbor that BTC is about to pump and then dump. Shout out to Mike. You also know Santa. Yeah, shout out to Easy. Santa and Satoshi are my two speed dial numbers. They've both been ignoring my calls. I actually got into a little bit of an argument with Santa yesterday, if you guys watched the stream. Did we look at night today? Shout out to Dot. We looked at night yesterday. There's just not a lot. We could try to take a look at the chart that we made up yesterday. It's just really hard for me. Oh, wow. Well, there you go. But yeah, this is really difficult, right? Because there's not a lot of price action I can look at. I can't look at any high time frames, right? Like, there's just no information here. Like, even if I'm just looking at the price action, there's very, very little information here. Like, you have no daily levels until down here. Like, there's just really not a lot I can do here. Weekly obviously has no information. The only thing I can look for here is like super low time frames. But even here, it's hard for me to get a gauge on the trend. We talked about the Fibonacci extension, which we were already coming into. The only thing I could really say there was like, hey, if he could break out and get the bigger move to the next level, it would be sitting between about 14 to 16 and a half cents, right? But like no real, like I can't even come up with a scenario that might be able to get you up there. So all we did was bring up that next upper target. Now we can, we have gotten a little bit of movement, so maybe I can update this a little bit. Like, the only other thing I can do is like try to mark off high time frame levels. I have no weekly candles to pull a weekly horizontal from. I can pull maybe your dailies, but your next daily is sitting all the way down here. Like, all I can do is pull up key levels of support and resistance. I just have like no real read here. Obviously no monthly levels. I could try to pull up MPOCs. I could try to pull a fib. Maybe this is what you're hitting right now, potentially. There it is. Could try to pull this as a volume profile, but again, this isn't a clean profile, right? It's like, stick to the POC, no real beautiful rotations here. But if I had to look at this, yeah, it's like I don't love this volume profile. Obviously, the levels are still valid because it's based off volume, so could technically look at it like this. There's your value area high. There's your POC. There's your value area low. You can get the numerical values down here. And then if I were to pull this all the way to the, pull it full here, this would be important support. Again, I don't really know anything about this, fundamentally. So this is probably the viewpoint I would have. Again, I wish I could see if daily money flow, like if the daily money flow was just about to cross into the green, I'd be like, oh, wow, look for a massive higher low and a higher high. I just have no read on it on a higher time frame. From a lower time frame, even the 4 hour, it's like I could say this money flow is coming out. Maybe. It's like I have nothing on the 8 hour VWAP trying to come up. So I'll just give you the key levels here. Value area high sits at 0.075. If you lose this level and get stuck inside this range, I would expect your next drop to be down towards the POC, which is confluent with your full golden pocket retracement. 1 hour money flow is coming out. So, maybe that's the higher probability move. But again, I would like to have a higher read on that. So take that with a grain of salt. One thing I can say is if you break down below this value area high and you cannot get back above, the next high probability move would be sitting right down here between about 0.064 and 0.061. Definitely an opportunity to bounce. Again, if I saw daily money flow coming out, I would have a better read on if this was going to be a lower high and a fulfill the volume profile. I just can't call for that. So your first major, hold support here. That's your best bet. I would probably anticipate the continuation of the downtrend just based off the 1 hour money flow. I have no information on the 16-hour to give you confluence there. So, again, I don't like the 1-hour money flow coming out. Lose this level. This is your next big support. Lose the PLC golden pocket. Obviously, your next level would be sitting down here at the value area low, where you do actually have some confluence between about 5 cents and 0.048. 786 daily value area low. I could try to pull some MPOCs. Not on the hourly. Yeah, so you have a daily MPOC in here as well, right? So it adds more confluence to the point of control. There's your daily MPOC. Drag that up slightly. Your weekly, I don't know. Yeah, wow. That makes sense. Weekly MPOC directly on the point of control of the range. So yeah, I would say after looking at it from this point of view, these are definitely your biggest levels of support, right? If you can't hold this, get accepted in. You got a bunch of confluence on the PLC golden pocket. Again, if I had a better read on money flow, I would maybe be able to say, hey, I'd look for the full fill of the range. But that's your key support number 1, key support number 2, sitting between 5 cents and 0.048. So there you go. That's what I'll look at. You also have a daily down here towards 4 cents. So there you go. That's what I would look at. Other than that, money flow, very hard to call for. So there you go. Merry Christmas, Mr. and Mrs. Candles. Shout out to Stranded Bow. I'm sure I butchered that name, but Merry Christmas to you as well, brother. Thank you for being here. We looked at the daily last night, though. Yeah, I mean, oh, maybe do we have more? Maybe there's more price history on a different exchange. If the information's there, yeah, I don't know. There's no information on any of these dailies. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is the chart that we were looking at. There's no information here. Unless maybe I looked at a lower time frame and I called it the daily by accident. Shout out to Brillo, said real analysis is a hard math subject. Yes, absolutely. But there we go, guys. I think that's all the time we got for today's live stream. Let's go ahead and pull up Bitcoin one last time. Yeah, just still chopping around here. The big things I would look for, again, if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We covered Bitcoin in full detail. I'm just going to do a little recap here for anybody who wants a little summary. Shorts are riding up, guys. But yeah, so taking a look here, right? 4-hour green dot is the thing I would look at for the next move up. And if we get the 4-hour green dot, all eyes on the 15-minute money flow. If we can get that to continue to cross over into the green, 88,300 is the level to break above. Locally, right? Locally. If we get above that and we can see the 4-hour money flow continue up into the green, the 4-hour green dot print, the 15-minute money flow crossover into the green, that's your best bet, in my opinion, to get a move deeper into your larger range up to our next major key level of resistance, which sits up here between about, I would call it, 90,840 up to about 91,350. That's what I'm looking at, right? If you get the bigger move up to the value area high, right? Like this is locally, again, the local level. The reason we looked at this as a local level of support yesterday was because it's the value area low of the range. It's also the POC of the scalp range. We also had the golden pocket down there. But the overall context for that was the fact that, like, hey, if we can keep this money flow coming up on the 4-hour, which again, 8-hour rolling back over, if you can keep this money flow coming up on the 4-hour, 16 and 12-hour money flow can continue up. You have a chance, a possibility of holding a higher low and pushing into your next big level of resistance again, between 90,800 up to about 91.4. Once we get above that level, I'll probably just be treating this as a volume profile, looking for a move into the value area high. Longer time frame, higher time frame, without looking at the local levels. the biggest thing to look at is your macro volume profile. 92,300, right? This lines up with the same level. Don't get confused. This is the same level of resistance I just brought up. This is your big level of resistance. If you want a bigger Santa rally, potentially up to 95.3 to 97K, this is the big zone to break above. Like, these are the bigger levels. And again, scroll back to the beginning of the stream. I broke down all the big levels very simply. But, we could just easily, if we're lucky enough to get up here, it could easily be another rejection. But really the big level to get above is 92,300. That opens the door for more of a significant rally to crack out these highs and potentially squeeze the shorts. What do I think the probability of that happening is? Very hard. It's like a crapshoot at this point. I'm still holding my long position. If it happens, great. If not, I'm going to be very cautious and potentially looking for shorts up here in the next resistances. But this is the viewpoint. You got to get back above 92.3 in order to look for any kind of significant move up to the higher levels. Until then, probably a chop fest. I would recommend taking some time off, spending time with your families, and who knows, guys? We might just kind of, who knows what's going to look like when we come back, right? Maybe we just chop around here. But those are the local viewpoints. You guys can screenshot these ranges to get them on your chart. And don't forget about the sale on the premium Discord. If you guys are looking to save money, been waiting to get into the Discord. We don't do sales very often. We did one for Black Friday. We're doing one here for the holidays. And don't forget also to check out the Warbucks video if you want a chance to win one of the 10 5K funded challenges or one 10K instant funded account. Go check it out. Or if you're just interested in prop firms in general, I do a little tutorial on Warbucks. It's a crypto prop firm. They offer instant funding and challenges. You can check it out if you're interested. And yeah. With all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight, guys. I do have a flight to catch, and if anything crazy happens, like I said, I'll drop a market update. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Have a great holiday. Go hang out with your families. The charts will be here when you get back. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Stick around for the fake out. This one's going to be special. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them two bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
All right, guys, we got a special Christmas poem from Perry. Sent it over to Tony D in a ticket in the Discord yesterday, I think. It reads, a Christmas poem for Frankie Candles and Tony D. A couple weeks ago on stream, a moment nice and clean, I spoke with Tony D, one of the realest I've seen. I made a promise back then, as Christmas drew near, to write a proper poem, something honest and clear. Frankie Candles on the charts, lighten up the scene. Every move calculated, every lesson pristine. The grind, the focus, the discipline you display keeps the whole community learning every day. Tony D right by your side, always holding the line. True support, real loyalty, perfectly aligned. From Discord chats to live streams, the energy is tight. A family built on respect, day and night. So here's my Christmas ticket, typed with heart and care. No expectations at all, just respect to share. But if these lines bring a smile or Christmas cheer, a merch cap would be legendary. I'd wear it all year. Much love and blessings as the year comes to a close. To Frankie and Tony D, respect overflows. Merry Christmas to you both. Stay solid, stay true. the candle stays lit because legends always do. Shout out to Perry, bro. That is a fire poem. We appreciate you, Perry. And with that, guys, I leave you off to your holidays. Enjoy the time. I love every single one of you guys. I will see you next week. If anything crazy happens, I'll drop a market update. That's all I got for today's live stream. Maybe I won't see you until next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy.